It is the height of the monsoon, somewhere in the heart of Cambodia. The sky darkens, the rivers swell. And then, against every law a child is taught about water, a great river stops, hesitates, and begins to flow the wrong way. This is the Tonlé Sap, and for 1,000 years, an empire built its fortunes on this single, astonishing reversal. The Tonlé Sap River is short, only about 120 kilometers long. It connects a vast inland lake to the Mekong, one of the largest rivers on Earth. For half the year, it drains the lake southward toward the sea. But for the other half, it runs backward, inland, swelling the lake to nearly 5 times its dry season size. The cause lies far upstream, in the snowmelt of the Tibetan Plateau and the monsoon rains of mainland Southeast Asia. As the Mekong rises through May and June, its waters reach a level higher than the lake itself. Pressure builds at the junction near Phnom Penh, and then, sometime in late summer, the current pauses, turns, and reverses. The flood pushes north into the heart of the country. The flooded forest that emerges is one of the most productive ecosystems on the planet. Submerged trees become nurseries for fish. Nutrient-rich silt blankets the floodplain. By the time the waters retreat in October, the lake teems with life. Fish gather in such densities that early travelers spoke of waters that seemed almost solid with them. It is into this rhythm of rising and falling water that a civilization plants itself. The Khmer Empire emerges in the early 9th century, founded according to tradition by a king named Jayavarman II in the year 802. He proclaims himself a universal monarch on the slopes of Mount Kulin. His successors will build, just to the north of the Great Lake, a city the world has rarely matched. They call it Yasadharapura. History will remember it as Angkor. At its height, between the 11th and 13th centuries, it sprawls across nearly 1,000 square kilometers. Recent radar surveys suggest a population that may have reached 750,000. For its time, it is among the largest pre-industrial cities ever built. But a city of that scale needs food, and lots of it. The answer lies in 2 harvests, one from the soil and one from the water. The flooded forests of the Tonlé Sap feed the empire's protein. The engineered rice fields of the Angkor plain feed its carbohydrate. Together, they sustain a civilization that builds temples in stone. Khmer engineers do not merely accept the monsoon, they harness it. Beginning in the 9th century, they construct enormous reservoirs called barays. The West Baray, completed in the 11th century, measures roughly 8 kilometers long and more than 2 kilometers wide. It holds tens of millions of cubic meters of water. It is, in effect, an artificial lake built by hand. Around these reservoirs grows a vast network of canals, moats, dikes, and channels. The system captures monsoon rain, redistributes it through the dry season, and supports rice paddies across the plain. Archaeologists today, using airborne laser scanning, have mapped this hydraulic web in extraordinary detail. The scale defies the imagination of the medieval world. And then there are the fish. Each year, as the floodwaters retreat from the Tonlé Sap, the fish funnel back toward the lake and downriver. Khmer villagers intercept them with traps, weirs, and nets. The catch is staggering. Even today, the Tonlé Sap fishery yields hundreds of thousands of tons annually, one of the most productive freshwater fisheries on Earth. In the late 13th century, a Chinese diplomat named Zhou Daguan arrives at Angkor. He stays for nearly a year and writes the only detailed eyewitness account of the city at its height. He describes markets, processions, palaces, and customs. He marvels at the abundance of fish. He records women selling produce, royal elephants in procession, and temples gleaming with gold. Zhou Daguan's account, written around 1297, becomes a window onto a vanished world. He notes how the Khmer preserve fish by salting and fermenting them, creating a paste called prahok. The technique is ancient and survives to this day in Cambodian kitchens. It is, in many ways, the taste of the empire itself. At the center of it all rises Angkor Wat, begun in the early 12th century under King Suryavarman II. It is the largest religious monument ever built, covering some 400 acres. Its moat alone stretches nearly 4 kilometers around. Carved across its galleries are scenes from Hindu epics, alongside processions of the king and his armies. Later, under Jayavarman VII in the late 12th century, the empire turns to Mahayana Buddhism. He builds the walled city of Angkor Thom and the temple of the Bayon, its towers carved with enormous serene faces. He constructs hospitals and rest houses along the empire's roads. The kingdom reaches its greatest extent, stretching across much of mainland Southeast Asia. And yet the very system that built Angkor carries within it the seeds of its undoing. The hydraulic network is vast, complex, and dependent on a delicate balance. Sediment accumulates, canals silt up, repairs require constant labor. A single failed monsoon can ripple through the whole apparatus. A succession of failures can break it. In the 14th and 15th centuries, climate strikes. Tree-ring studies from across the region reveal severe, prolonged droughts followed by violent monsoons. Researchers have called it a mega-drought. The reservoirs run low. Then, when the rains return, they come too hard, scouring channels and destroying spillways. The water system that once defined Khmer power begins to falter. Other pressures gather. New trade routes draw the empire's wealth toward the coast. The kingdom of Ayutthaya rises to the west, and in 1431, Thai armies sack Angkor. The court shifts southward toward Phnom Penh, closer to maritime trade. The great city is not abandoned overnight, but slowly its grand temples fall quiet. The jungle returns. Roots split the stones of forgotten shrines, yet Angkor Wat itself is never truly lost. Buddhist monks tend it through the centuries. Cambodian pilgrims continue to visit. When French explorers arrive in the 19th century, the temple is overgrown, but it is still very much alive in Khmer memory. Today, the Tonlé Sap still reverses each summer. Fishermen still set their traps in the receding waters. Communities still build floating villages that rise and fall with the lake, but the rhythm is fraying. Upstream dams on the Mekong now blunt the seasonal pulse. Fish catches are declining. The flooded forests are shrinking. The empire of Angkor was built on a backward river, on a flood that arrived like clockwork, on fish that filled the nets without fail. For 6 centuries that bargain held. Stone temples rose from rice and water. And in the silence of those galleries today, beneath the carved faces of forgotten kings, the lesson endures. Civilizations rise on the gifts of rivers. And when the rivers change, so in time do they.